And the gurgling you hear is Mike messing with the microphone. What are you doing over there?
Oops.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Both Mikes.
It's the show about nothing and everything. He's Mike Sofka.
And he is Mike Taylor. And together, we are Both Mikes.
Yes. Welcome to show number 36 of Both Mikes, heard everywhere podcasts can be heard, like iHeartRadio, and live at twitch.tv/bothmikes.
Yes, live, no net. I mean, if we slip and say the fuck word, I guess we're not in trouble.
Fucked.
Yeah, whatever. Next. No, I was...
how's things going? How's life?
Good. Hurricane-free. Went kind of around us. Just some rain yourself?
Yeah, nothing to brag about. Not even a slight breeze. I couldn't fly a kite if I had to.
Well, breeze enough. My wife has a lot of potted plants and stuff. Big, they're getting big. And
right.
Just about everything fell over, and that shit's heavy. But anyway, yeah, no big deal.
You're so much far west than me, that's why.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm on the high ground. People come from both sides inward. I'm already here,
Right.
Exactly. And then I made sure my house is the tallest one on the block. Like, how they fill the land and they make a mound and then put the house on top of that mound. Yeah, mine's the tallest one.
You got the high ground?
Yeah, absolutely. It did rain here one time in this house. It did rain, not in this house. Just outside, you could see the water just flowing down the street like a river almost. And I was just amazed. And I was like, looking at some of these houses that were a little bit lower than mine, going, man, I'm glad I'm not in that house because I'm not sweating it. I'm good until those people start floating. Then I'm in trouble.
That's how my house in San Antonio was. But my driveway was so steep you couldn't like logically park on it without an emergency brake.
No, I used to have a driveway like that in Jersey, in Saraville, New Jersey, and that was great when snow came. You could sled right down your own driveway. It was freaking great.
In Park Ridge, New Jersey, I actually lived on a hill, so it was perfect. And right out the front door, we would sit there at night and watch the cars try to get up the hill and then watch them slide back. It was fun, back in the day when they had snow tires, which did absolutely good.
Oh, you never put chains on your tires? Or?
I had a Mercedes-Benz at one point in the 90s, and it was rear-wheel drive, and we actually bought chains for that vehicle when I lived in Orange County, New York, the land of Orange County choppers.
Wow, did you ever see those guys?
No, didn't know they existed until I moved to Florida. I was watching the Discovery Channel one day, and I see a picture of this water tower, and I'm like, what the hell? That's the water tower that used to be out my front door. And sure enough, there's two guys yelling at each other and throwing crap around. And I had to change the channel. I'm like, this is why I left New York. I didn't need the stress and the yelling at people. So comes out of Orange County Choppers was literally a mile and a half from my house. Yep, back in the day.
Well, you know what? I think it's almost that time. It's usually that time at the beginning of the show lately, but here we go.
Buzz-looking alien! Where?
Warning! Alien approaching! Warning! Biophysical experiments extremely dangerous for Earth people!
It's a pretty good robot. He's a little bit of an alien, too. But I think he's an alien. You could be an alien robot, right? Like, not all robots are domestic.
I computed the aliens. They are capable of sinister and dangerous acts.
You weird alien man!
I do kind of like that. I still need to update that thing with the whole update on the names because we need to add our buddy. We need to add Richard Branson on there.
Right.
We need to add Gates' name on there, but the alien updates, what we do every week. Was that
a passive hint that I need to get my shit together?
No, you sent it to me already. You did it and sent it to me, and I have to get my shit together.
Oh, okay, never mind.
No, I'm a lot more direct than that. No sense in being passive. It's not like you're talking to the HR lady at work and you got to be real careful or whatever, Oh, fuck it. Whatever. All right, what the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, our boy Branson. Our boy Branson is getting ready to go into space here, and he is giddy with this whole deal because he's going to be the first one. Okay, are you like the person that's camping out to get tickets to the concert, but then you can't afford to buy the ones that are in the front row, so you're going to get balcony seats? Is that you? Are you that guy? I mean, Branson, you're going into space for like 10 minutes. You're going to fly. You're driving by space. You're not stopping and getting out to take a leak and in space like a rest stop. Get over yourself.
He looks a little apish in that picture, too. He's got a chromosome missing or something.
You know, and like we talked about before with the petition to, have Bezos when he goes up to space to have him never return. Maybe this is the same thing with Branson. See, this is the idea, folks. These cats are all too smart. They got too much money. They have too much success time after time, hit after hit. They're like the friggin' Beatles of money making and technology. So they're from another planet. That's the only explanation. They're not that much better than me and you.
Right? They put their hands on one leg at a time.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, his Virgin Galactic flight. He's going to have a brief joyride. This is on CNNBusiness.com, so it must be true. He's been doing this for more than 2 decades. He's had engineers and people and shit working on this for decades. I just can't imagine the money that this guy has bled. Same thing with Bezos. Same thing with Musk. I'd like to know the real number that affected them,
Yeah. And where does he make his money? He's got an airline. He's got a cruise line that has yet to cruise.
He used to have the music stores.
The music stores, which are gone.
Then he had a label. He bought Atlantic Records, and then it was Virgin Atlantic Records.
Oh, okay. So
I don't know. Maybe I just think that. Or was that the airline, Virgin Atlantic?
I think Virgin Atlantic. I think that is the airline. Yeah.
But I mean, you have to be a billionaire to be. I want to know where Bloomberg is. Did he drop all his money into primary 5 years ago, and now he doesn't have any more money? So that's why he's not in it. He's not worried. He's not in a pissing contest with these guys.
That I have not a clue. He seems a little bit of a dodo, but who am I to say?
So this thing that he's going on is pretty cool. It's actually like being attached to another plane, and then they're going to take off again up in space. It's pretty spectacular what this thing is.
It's the same thing he's been doing for years. It's like this is a side project, and all of a sudden he has to do this, and that goes on the back burner. And then he starts it up again, and he throws it in the sky and makes a headline or two, and then he starts a cruise company. And now that's come to fruition. So now he's going to go back into skimming outer space. He's not even really going into outer space. He's just kind of like touching the crest of it and coming back down on some.
Hell, you got a relative that did that.
Yeah, in 1966, no less. So,
it's crazy.
I don't know.
They say this ship that he's going to be attached to is going to go more than 3 times the speed of sound, 2,300 miles per hour, and that's why you're 50 miles above the ground. And at the top end of the flight path, Branson and his fellow passengers will briefly experience weightlessness. It's an extended version of the weightlessness you experience when you reach the peak of a roller coaster hill just before gravity brings you back down. So in Branson's case, your space plane gliding back down to the ground is what it says here. So
I don't want to seem anticlimactic or anything, but big deal.
Well, here's what I want to see. I wonder if those, I think he's going with like 5 other people or something. I want to know, did he do it right? Like, did he buy all the concert tickets and then he sold all the others so he ended up going free? Did he do it the right way? I'm sure.
Yeah. That's a trick I actually do, but never mind. We won't talk about it.
And I saw Bezos, of course he stepped down and, that's, he's got a lot going on with his divorce and stuff. We'll talk about him in a bit, but I wonder if that didn't have something to do with those adjustments him being CEO. I mean, you can't exactly have a guy who's running a multi-billion-dollar company leave the planet. He needs to like be in the same planet that
Right.
I wonder if that had anything to do with it. I know insurance is expensive for that.
He probably is. Divorce is not fun. We've both been there, and it's a time of reflecting. Did I do something wrong? Did she do something wrong? Where do I go from here? How does this work for me? So he's probably reinventing himself. I've done that many a times, and it's always better on the other side. So I'll bet you that has probably a lot to do with it. He's just reinventing himself.
So what kind of shirt is that you're sporting today? What is that, a cruise line?
Yes.
Royal Caribbean?
Yeah, Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. And if I was, felt like turning around and showing you the back, it has all the ships mentioned on the back.
No, I hear you. I got the Rockville 18 shirt. That was the year Foo Fighters, Avenged Sevenfold, Queens of the Stone Age, Godsmack, Five Finger Death Punch, Billy Idol.
What?
Yeah, I remember he was like the rickety old man going up to the stage with his cane and shit, and then he took off his shirt, and I was like, oh no, don't do that. So,
okay, what was the deal with him taking off his shirt?
He was rocking. He got on stage. He came back out and got on stage with the Foo Fighters. Oh yeah, buddy.
Yeah. I know he had a cane because of a motorcycle accident he had many moons ago. He screwed himself up pretty bad, so I know he was sporting a cane for a while.
I think that's the same show where John Travolta went out on stage with the Foo Fighters too. And then when he bent over to take a bow, his whole toupee like fell forward. It was hilarious. It was like falling off his head.
Okay.
Anyway.
And I guess you missed that part? You were out grabbing a beer?
No, I got it. I got video of it somewhere.
Oh.
All right, there's one of the other aliens right there, Jeff Bezos, right there.
Okay.
He's with his new girlfriend.
Oh, must be nice.
Well, he's split up. They've been split up for a couple years. This girl's name is Lauren Sanchez. That picture is taken at something called the Idaho Billionaire Summer Camp.
Nice.
So it went through my head like Bill Murray meatballs. Is it that type of summer camp? Are they going to have a rival? Musk is going to be on the other side of the lake with his summer camp, and they're going to challenge each other to a canoe race.
Spaz.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
He's of course 57, and this girl that he's with is a news anchor. She's in the news business.
Any mention of what city?
Well, I don't know. Right now they're in Idaho.
What's up with Idaho?
It's usually something I trick my wife into saying, and then I go, "Yes, you are," after she says it. I'm like, "Honey, where do those potatoes come from?" She's like, "Idaho." I go, "Yes, you are."
Yeah, there's something about Idaho. It seems like a lot of rich people make their way to Idaho for some reason.
Well, there is a lot of land out there, and there's a situation where you're by Utah, you're by Wyoming. You're part of Idaho. There's a small portion of it that's actually in Yellowstone National Park because it takes over a couple states there. But yeah, Idaho's pretty cool. I pulled up at after I worked at Yellowstone when I was 18 or so, right out of high school. That summer, I worked at Yellowstone, and it was cool. I had Old Faithful right out my window. You see bison and shit, and I don't know. It was a different situation, but I remember going to my buddy's house. He had a relative that lived in Idaho, and we went there, and we got there at night, and I was like, wow, they got all these rocks out here. What's he in the rock business? They look like these big rocks all over the place. He goes, no, those are sheep. He's in the sheep business. Well, I couldn't see. It was dark. I just saw the shape of them, so.
Right. That's weird.
No, there's a lot of, there's not many people, and there's a lot of land there, so. For such a small state, I think there's 5 people own all the land.
Right.
I don't care.
It's probably
it's
really
not me.
inexpensive. Right. It's probably real inexpensive to live there, and you can have all the room you want. So bargain hunting. You get a lot of land.
Well, Amazon stock went down a little bit today when they saw this picture of him and his girlfriend. It went down $12. It's now only $3,719 for one share of Amazon stock. Should have held on to that shit. Hey, being we're talking about the aliens here, we must talk about our boy Musk. That is a picture of their new system, or they're redoing the system, they're upping the system, whatever they want to call it. It's the Starship type thing. What the hell is that called? Something 2, Rocket 2. What is it called there?
The rocket engine.
Raptor 2. That's what it's called.
Ah.
The ship itself is also called the Starship. Measures 160 feet tall and includes the crew and cargo space. The super heavy booster, this measures 230 feet tall and pairs with the Starship to enable it to leave Earth. So it's got those shuttle-like tanks on it. But that thing right there is pretty groovy. You see that lady standing next to it?
Yeah, I'm thinking, okay, she's probably 5.5 feet tall. So just the nozzle or cone of the rocket engine itself is probably a good 12 feet tall, where the one on the other side of her is probably 7-8 feet tall.
Yeah, she could lay underneath that thing and not hit either side. I'd say it's about 8 feet around or something. I mean, 8 feet across, 8 feet high.
Yeah, but what I noticed is the engine part of the two are almost identical, but it's the nozzle or the cone that's so much larger on the one in comparison to the other. For people who are not watching on twitch.tv/bothmics.
This is the big deal with this is this is a super heavy rocket, so it's going to be able to thrust of 16 million pounds. They figured it could reach 17 million pounds, and by comparison, the most powerful rocket to ever fly was the Saturn V, and it flew in 1973 and generated 7.6 million pounds. So this is like 3 times, at least 2 times the power of that Saturn V. So here's the deal. Branson, he's going to be on that plane. They're going to be going 2,300 miles to get to that 10 minutes in space. This thing right here could blow up a small city. The power and the fuel and
yeah.
Buddy, even if I owned this shit, and even if I personally built it and inspected everything myself, if I knew what the hell I was doing, and I still don't know if I'd get on that thing. Would you?
Not at first, but I wouldn't be the guy who bought the car the first year it was made.
Yeah.
But what they're looking to do is they're looking to make bigger rockets because they're building stuff on Mars, they're building stuff on the moon. You got to get supplies in there.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can take a small rocket the size of one tractor trailer and send it to the moon with supplies. You need to be able to send tens of tractor trailers to the moon or to Mars at one time. Well, and they need to make bigger rockets to do that. So these engines are going to be the thing to do it.
Well, this Starship, they catalog the journey it's had since 2018, showing all the stuff that they've done to it and show the testing and shows how far it flew and how fast it flew and all this stuff. So they've been working on this shit for a couple of years here, and I guess that's what it is. You're a billionaire. You've done everything you could do. If you want something, you get it. If you want for nothing, you're sitting at 3 in the morning and you're like, you know what? I think I'm gonna make some bitch drive with a pizza from Chicago. Let's do that. Just stupid money. You got generational money.
It gets to the point where they're just keeping score.
Yeah.
They don't need to make money. They have everything they can possibly use for the rest of their life. It's just a matter of keeping score after a while. I noticed. Granted, it's a completely different scale, but when I start to putting money in the bank, like in the savings account, like money that I don't need day to day, and we start a savings account, I like to see that number go up. Like, ooh, can I get over this amount? Can I get over that amount? and it becomes, a game of sorts. Granted, not on their scale. There's a couple commas missing in my numbers.
The funny thing is Musk is also got something else going on right now. He's standing in front of a picture of what's a tunnel. There's a tunnel like this in California, and we've talked about this a while back, but he's putting this tunnel in South Florida, and they can't even keep buildings standing up straight, and we're going to dig under, and there's going to be a tunnel, and you're going to be able to take this like a tunnel system type train. I just don't understand the math behind it. Maybe that's why I'm not rich like him, but how do you dig under the sea level?
How many houses do you know in Florida have a basement?
None, exactly.
Yeah, I think I came across one in my entire life. Granted the 20-something years I've been here in Florida. But yeah, underground? They're going to do this underground, or are they going to do this above ground here in Florida?
Oh, it's underground.
Yeah,
it's going to be in the Miami area.
I think he needs to do a little being, because this isn't California there, Elon.
It's almost like that old show. Do you remember that Name That Tune? And it got down to like the finals, and it was like, they give the clue about the song, and they're like, I can name that song in 7 notes. And the other guy's like, I can do it in 6 notes. And then he goes back, and the guy's like, 5. And the other guy goes, name that tune. Like that, like, ha, got you. Because it's almost like you're playing that game here with these big projects, with these big challenges, with these big grand adventures that all these alien guys do. I mean, what a life, huh? Just get up. Hey, what do you feel like doing today? You want to go to France for dinner? All right, let's go. How?
Exactly.
Or are you not doing any of that shit?
I thought about when I was a kid.
Are you not doing that stuff, and that's why you have money?
No. Someone's backing a dump truck up to your house that's full of gold and cash, and you hit the right numbers. You don't save money to be rich. That's for sure. But this is a project I thought of when I was a little kid. My parents used to take us on vacation every summer, and we would go. God, they thought it would be fun to put us in a car and drive from New Jersey to Mount Rushmore in South Dakota. 21-day trip by car. Fun, wow. Yeah. And I thought, why don't they have like a big vacuum tube that can suck you from New Jersey to LA?
Pneumatic tube, like the bank. Yeah.
Like what this guy's doing.
Yeah.
Or have a highway that goes from New York to Los Angeles and just have 5 exits. Stuff you think of when you're 10 years old. Makes completely no sense to drive a car from New York to LA unless you have to drive the car for some reason. You could fly there in 6 hours, 5 hours, and call it a day. But,
Well, nowadays, though, if that's not as true anymore, even on regional flights, because you're like, okay, well, Atlanta's a 6-hour drive. I have to be at the airport 2 hours early. It's going to take me an hour to get out. That's 3 hours. It's a 2-hour flight. You're doing the math. At what point is it worth it or not worth it?
Right. But, he's taking projects he thought of when he was a kid, because his mom and dad stuffed him in the back of a car and drove from who knows where to who knows where, and he's making these ideas when he was a child come true. He's flying into space. He's making tunnels. He's got freaking electromagnetic cars that are flying around. He's doing away with gasoline, self-driving cars too. All these little things you think of when he's a kid. He's coming to fruition now.
All right,
he's throwing money at it.
I just got the signal from the intern here. Our special guest tonight is on his way in.
All right.
Let me go let him in the door.
All right. Just a reminder, everybody can find us on twitch.tv/bothmics. Find us anywhere podcasts can be found: YouTube, Anchor, Castbox, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Podbean, Deezer. Find us on Deezer. Stitcher, too.
What is up, Mike? How are you?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very exciting night. We have a very special guest with us this evening. We have a guest from the East, a famous safari guide, the all-knowing, all-seeing, omniscient, and farmer salesman from the Crazy Eddie at 4th and Lexington. I give you Mikestradamus.
Greetings and salutations. Very nice to be here, Mike.
Welcome, Mikestradamus.
You have the questions ready.
I have questions ready. We've been waiting to hear your infinite wisdom. I have in these envelopes right here. They have been hermetically sealed and been stored in a mayonnaise jar in a popka since noon today. No one knows the contents of these envelopes, but you, in your infinite wisdom, without ever seeing the contents, you and you alone know the answers to these questions inside these envelopes.
That is correct.
I present to you
That's
your
correct.
first envelope.
You gonna hand it over to me?
I am handing it over to you,
All right,
sir.
good. There it is. Oh,
All
I
right.
hurt a little bit. Ow.
Sorry about that. You get a paper clip? Paper cut?
Yes. The first question, the answer to the first question, wake and bake.
Wake and bake.
What do you do in Portland when it's a record-breaking 112 degrees outside?
That's very hot. 112 degrees. Yes.
Did I read that right? Yeah. Well, may Seattle rain on your parade. How about that?
All right.
Question number 2. I'm ready.
Question number 2, right here, sir.
All right. Okay, I got it. Thank you. Hand's hurting for reaching through there. Question number 2. The answer, without looking in the envelope, is Van Halen. Van Halen.
Van Halen. Van Halen.
Pop open the envelope here. What are you doing when your Uber is a van? You're
Van Halen.
hailing a van. I like that one.
Van Halen.
Yeah, well.
Yes.
May David Lee Roth serve you ice cream at the Rainbow Bar and Grill. How about that?
Dave.
Question number 3. I'm now ready for the final question, Mike.
I have your final envelope right here, Mikestradamus.
Thank you. There we are. Oh, this is a good one. I can feel it. Haitian President Jovenel Moïse, Abraham Lincoln, and who's ever sitting in front of Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee Herman.
Name 3 men that got shot in the head.
That's a joke.
May you be the jizz moppers at Quickies down on 92. And with that, I bid you adieu.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mikestradamus. Let's hear it again from Mikestradamus, folks.
Again with that guy.
He's so smart.
The guy is handsy. He has his hands all over the intern on the way out the door here. He's getting out of here in such a hurry. I don't know what his hurry is. Thought he was like one of those alien guys with all the money and shit. Didn't have to be anywhere. Could do whatever he wants.
Right, exactly.
Hey, I'm putting a picture up there. It's a picture of some Marvel characters.
Yes, it is.
There's some questions that are coming out because, Disney owns Marvel.
Correct.
So they're trying to figure out when will Universal Orlando replace the Marvel Superhero Island. This is according to InsideTheMagic.net.
Good question. I wondered that myself 10 years ago when they bought the franchise.
I wonder, when every time somebody rides the Hulk, does Disney get paid $1?
I'm sure they get something. There's licensing rights and stuff. They get renewed. Someone has to pay.
Well, obviously they won't be renewed. I don't know when they run out. I'm trying to figure that part out. But I do know that Universal's talking about adding these other islands. Since they were going to call the original Islands of Adventure was going to be Cartoon World with a DC superhero island. But then they later went with Marvel. And then here's the thing. Disney's not gonna re-sign this whenever it is up. They're not gonna let somebody else have their thunder. So what would they put in its place?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was DC.
Well, it could be, but they're talking about Lord of the Rings, making a whole section of the park Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Is that because of the Harry Potter success? I mean, I thought those are kind of the same thing.
It's exactly why, because they had great success with Harry Potter. I don't think Lord of the Rings was as successful. They see how successful that the galaxy thing with Star Wars is. They're looking for lightning to strike twice. Then what are you going to do? You're going to have a Jurassic Park world. You're going to have a Harry Potter world and Lord of the Rings world, and that's it. And Dr. Seuss. Come on. You need to have it a little more spread out. You don't need to get that distinctive with your lands.
So here's a little more background on this. Disney California Adventure Park officially opened the Avengers Campus, marking the first Marvel land on the West Coast and past the Mississippi River, and the first superhero-themed land in any Disney park. When Disney acquired Marvel in 2009, they didn't obtain all the necessary theme park rights to use any Marvel character in their theme parks. But a long-standing court case stipulates that Disney is not permitted to feature Marvel characters like Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Thor, even use the word Marvel in any of its theme parks east of the Mississippi River.
Good to know.
So that must have preempted that part of the deal. They probably had to have a little asterisk.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They get all their ducks in a row before they sign up the bottom line. And that makes sense. And Disney's figured they got it probably at a bargain price. And they said, we can wait X amount of years until the licensing runs out with Universal. And I'm sure they agreed to something. And somewhere along the line, it's going to be cut,
But here's the thing. I don't know why you would want to put the Lord of the Rings there. Is that as big? Is that bigger than Harry Potter?
I think before Harry Potter, it was that short little spot between some of the Star Wars movies. The second trilogy of Star Wars movies and the beginning of the Harry Potter movies was a big hit for the Lord of the Rings. So because they took 3 books and they made 4 movies out of it. And, it was a big deal then. Is it a big deal now? No. I think it'll be a disaster if they go with Lord of the Rings now.
Well, here's my point. Obviously, they're not doing this to attract new people to the parks. They're using it to attract the same fan, because I would assume, and I'm not trying to be judgmental, but the same person that likes one likes the other. Wouldn't that be fair or no?
I would think so.
Because they're similar, right? They're similar but different. I mean, one's magic and one's kind of magic. I don't know.
Yeah. I would think, like, the Star Wars group you'll find is our age.
Yeah, like Star Wars and Star Trek are the same thing, right?
Yeah. And
I'm just trying to piss somebody off in the comments, that's all.
And you get the crowd that's probably or a little older than our oldest boys. They'll be the ones into Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. And then the younger crowd is the ones that are into the Harry Potter. So you're by covering those three movies.
So you do Harry Potter first, and then you're advanced to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I think it's a bad idea. I was actually at Universal this past weekend. Didn't go to the parks though.
How was it? How was everything? Was it hit a lot of rain or no?
Yeah. We got down there on Saturday and we stayed at the brand new Universal Dockside, which is really nice hotel. Really nice. It's I think we paid roughly $150 a night. We stayed for 2 nights.
That's easy.
2010 rooms in this hotel, and it's on the property that used to be Wet n Wild.
Ah.
So it's not even on Disney property. It's off property. They have a shuttle bus that took us over to City Walk. City Walk was packed like you wouldn't believe. We went to Hard Rock Cafe for dinner. Did pretty good. Hard Rock has an abbreviated menu right now. So that was a little upsetting.
Everybody's getting burgers? What is it?
Yeah, pretty much. It was a lot of sandwiches, some salads. None of the big stuff. No jumbo combo. No steaks. Just it was plain and simple. We had a birthday dinner there, so we had a little discount. So
good.
So I'm all about the discount.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you have kids, man. Hey, I put a picture up of a GM truck there. GM's got a problem right now. They're recalling 500,000 pickups because their side airbags can spontaneously explode.
I hate when that happens.
I'm just picturing me and the wife are arguing in the truck and we roll up at the stop sign and I can just push a button and it's like an ejector seat, make her airbag blow. Is that like an added feature? Do I have to get the LT package for that?
The XLT.
Is that standard on every model?
Yeah, that's funny. You ever see some of those videos of people? Yeah. No, it's not a good thing. But have you seen some of those videos of people who mess with airbags?
No.
They'll put it on the ground and put a piece of board or a chair over it, and then they'll eject or they'll spark the airbag, and then people go flying and hit the ceiling. Yeah, you gotta. We'll have to post some of those on the Facebook page. You have to check that out. That's beyond funny and whiplash. Screwed up backs.
Anytime there's an airbag deployment in a vehicle, the vehicle's considered a total loss most times. I mean, it's so expensive to repair. There was a time where they would bust into your car and take the airbags. I don't know how you do that, but there was a time they would do that because they were worth so much money.
Yeah. The airbags in my Mustang, God, I had to have them replaced. It was an actual recall.
Takata, yeah, I had those too. They were in most cars. I mean, that's what they used.
Yep.
One guy dominating the market. So I was going to ask you, have you ever had a car that had a recall like this? A major recall besides the safety, besides the airbags? Have you ever had a major thing?
No, never. Just the airbag on the Mustang.
Well, that steering wheel I just put up is kind of related to what we're talking about. That's a Mazda steering wheel.
Correct.
You ever had a Mazda?
No, I don't go. Yeah.
Don't buy
certain
this
cars
one.
you don't buy. You don't buy Nissans, you don't buy Mazdas, you don't buy Dodges.
Don't buy this one. They're recalling 260,000 cars because the steering wheel logo might explode in your face after airbag deployment. It's for 2004 to 2007 model year Mazda 3. How many of those are even on the friggin' road anymore?
Right? And it took them this long to figure it out?
Yeah, no.
I'm guessing the wrong person or the right person it happened to.
No, they got the first report was 6 years ago.
Okay. That makes totally no sense. But you're going to get shrapnel from any airbag that deploys. Cover. The one on my passenger side dash, the actual dashboard splits open and it comes out through the dashboard. Like, how can that not be shrapnel waiting to happen?
Well, here's my thought. If you have a 2004 to 2007 Mazda 3, it's got well over 100,000 miles, probably, right?
Right.
How much is that car worth? You're putting $5,000 airbags in a $1,000 car. That's like, you know, those cars with the big 28-inch tires and shit. 10 grand worth of tires on a $1,000 car. What are you doing?
Right. Yeah. Makes no sense, especially a Mazda. You know, I wouldn't buy a Mazda, not on purpose.
Well, were they the originals with the rotary motor?
Yes. Yep. The XR7 is it or XR8? Mm-hmm. I get XR8 and XR7 and RX7 mixed up. One's a Cougar, one's a Mercury Cougar, and one's a Mazda car. I get those XR7 and RX7.
There's an old junior high or middle school instructor that I had, a PE coach, and he had a Mazda RX-7, and all he did every day was brag about it and how bad he was and how cool he was and how cool the car was and everything. And then one day he blew his own brains out. He made the big full page in the yearbook, you know, we're sorry to miss you, Mr. Page, wow. You know, yeah. And I was like, it kind of brought things full circle for me. I'm like, here's a guy who's walking around telling everybody how freaking great everything is, and then he blows his head off.
Overcompensating for something, obviously.
Yeah, I didn't think too much about it at that point. We had when I was in the car business, we did have somebody that bought a car, and before the financing was complete, and they had reconditioned their loan, and they had adjusted the interest rate, and they had to come back and sign new paperwork. That happens sometimes, especially if you have bumps in the credit. And
right.
And this person, something happened. I don't think it was the car deal, but they ended up blowing their brains out in the car in like a Publix parking lot or something like that. And the cops are like, well, you're the owner of record on the car because the tag hasn't transferred yet and all that. So we had to get somebody. And we just took that thing straight to auction, man. We didn't mess with it. What do you do with that?
Right? Yeah. Do you have to disclose something like that?
Yeah, that was another thought. Like a house, do you have to say it's a murder car?
It's a murder car. Wow. Yeah, that's a mess. Unreal.
Speaking of murder car, my son is buying. I know, right? It was a good segue. They're buying an old ambulance and they're decking it out like a roadmobile, like a camper. I thought that would be cool. But just
somebody actually bought an old school ambulance, like the ones that look like a box on the back.
No, that's what he's got. That's what he's getting.
And they painted it like Eddie Van Halen's guitar, Frankenstein.
Beautiful.
And they call it the Wambulance.
Nice.
Nice. I guess it's like a whammy bar.
Yeah.
And I actually saw it at the Trickster Dokken Warrant concert 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, in San Antonio. And it's supposed to be this famous Jambulance. Maybe it was Jambulance. I don't know. Wambulance or Jambulance. And it's supposedly this famous guys that are rockers, and they like follow bands around, and they're always hanging out with the bands and whatnot. So, go ahead.
No, I think it's cool. That's one of the things I asked him. He was like, yeah, I can't wait to... I go, yeah, you're going to be the big hit when you roll up to the party. He's like, yeah, woo. But I guess they have to take all that emergency equipment off legally and take the stripes off and all that stuff. So, I don't know if they're going to paint. I think they're doing a lot of it on their own, kind of building it out. But anyway,
right.
More on that stuff later. Hey, there's this is according to CNN, so again, it must be true here. There's the FDA is in trouble. The acting FDA commissioner calls for independent investigation into the approval that they gave on an Alzheimer's drug. So that got me thinking, maybe they were taking the drug and maybe they forgot to get the approval.
That's possible. No, that's not possible.
But how is that good or bad that the FDA is saying they need to investigate themselves?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's probably not they're investigating themselves. They're investigating a department of themselves. You know, I'm sure they're all pointing fingers.
Well, this is in reference again to this Alzheimer's drug. It's called Aduhelm. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm probably really butchering this up here. The court case says that they knowingly and willingly gave these drugs for Alzheimer's, and they realized that there was some sort of problem with it, and that's where the problem comes. But again, they can't remember what it was. They have Alzheimer's.
That happens all the time. You know, even with Johnson & Johnson and talcum powder.
Yeah, how about that? I went to the barber, and it was the first time I didn't have talcum powder.
Right? Yeah. And they supposedly they've known this for decades. You know, women are getting ovarian cancer because of it. You know, how do you let that one go by?
I don't know. My ovaries were fine last time I went to the doctor.
Oh, God.
I've been getting talcum powder on my neck for years, several times a year. It's like a quarterly thing. I go get a coat of talcum powder on my neck. Does that stuff absorb through your neck? Maybe that's why my head's so fat. Maybe, it absorbs, but it doesn't let any of the, I got a big head.
It's full of talcum powder, you think?
Yes, it's full of talcum powder, yes.
It's not White Castle burgers, it's talcum powder?
Yeah, I heard somebody said the White Castle in Orlando was shut down today.
Really?
They couldn't get into the parking lot, and there was a deputy there saying, yeah, no, they're closed right now. And no details, no nothing. But I saw they had some hiccups on the health department visit. They had like 6 or 7 items, and supposedly they were taking care of that day or whatever, but there's still violations, and then they normally come back again. So I don't know if this is another health issue. I don't know.
It's possible. Very possible.
We'll find out soon. We'll probably find out by the time we're listening to this, or somebody's listening to this, right? You dummy, they found this, or...
Yeah. Well, I can see that.
Maybe they just need a friggin' break.
Right? Yeah. It probably is health department. I got a funny story about that. But more than likely what happens, they probably went and they gave them X amount of violations. You have X amount of time to correct these. We'll come back. And they came back and they weren't corrected, or they found other things and they just shut them down. Then they'll clean it up and go. Funny story about health department. Particular restaurant that you and I used to work at. They have a Rainforest Cafe in Nashville at the mall there. God, yes. I don't remember the name of the mall, but it's the big. It's right next to the Grand Ole Opry. Grand Ole Opry is actually in the parking lot of this mall, and there's a Rainforest Cafe in there. And one of our managers that we had went to that store. And that particular store had a buyout. Anybody who doesn't know what a buyout is someone comes along and says, hey, close down the restaurant. We want to buy out your restaurant for the night and have no other guests except for our people here at Sony. Sony Corporation buys out the establishment for the night, comes in and puts this big Jumbotron. Sony's known for huge Jumbotron TVs. And so they had their event going on. They had the news on with this big giant Jumbotron TV in the health department segment of the news in Nashville. They announce this stuff, I guess slow news nights, of health violations. They do it here in Jacksonville too. And one of the health violations that they covered extensively was the health violations at the Rainforest Cafe. So they were eating at the Rainforest Cafe, watching their own TV at the Rainforest Cafe, as they spoke about health violations at the Rainforest Cafe.
Wow.
That would
that went over well, I bet.
Right? Yeah. That's funny.
Well, did you hear this thing about Wells Fargo?
Yes.
Wells Fargo shutting down all personal lines of credit. Just out of the blue, they're like, yep, nope, we're done. Good luck, Chuck.
And I searched to find out why they did it, and there's really no explanation. which is beyond dumb. But Wells Fargo being the ultimate piece of crap bank to begin with.
Well, they're obviously bleeding money somewhere, and they're trying to shut this down before the economy slips away from them. Inflation's on the way up, so they're probably just nervous about the market. Maybe they just have too many open lines out there, and they're like, wow, if everybody cashes this shit in at once, we're in a lot of trouble. So it maybe makes sense at a certain point, but to me, it's bad. It's bad. How can you say to your customer, look, we realize you're banking with us, and we realize you had this line of credit, and we realize you have great credit, and we realize, you can buy whatever you want, wherever you want. You don't even have to bank with us. But you know what? Screw you. We're gonna disallow that line of credit, and you know what? We don't care. And to me, it says you can keep your money with us, but we're not going to give you any money.
Right. Yeah, the services we promised you in the past are no longer available. Well, guess what, buddy? You know what's on the other corner? Another bank. Or preferably. Whatever the word is.
Preferably, yeah.
Preferably. A credit union where they don't have all these fees and all this junk, and the interest rates are actually lower, and it's more attuned to the community than these nationwide freaking conglomerates that can't fail. In quotes, can't fail.
Well, I mean, banks have been buying each other for years. This was evident in the 80s and 90s and so forth. When you look at, there used to be a bank in Florida, throughout all Florida, called Barnett. Barnett was bought out by First Union, and First Union was bought out by Wells Fargo. And NCNB was bought out by Bank of America. And Chase, and all these banks are just buying each other. So maybe this is a sign they're for sale.
First Union actually became Wachovia before it became.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you.
If I know anything, it's banks. It's and they're the big shot. It's them and Bank of America and Chase are the big top three. And I just never been a fan of Wells Fargo, and especially when they did that whole thing where they were just making up accounts to cover quotas that these poor employees had.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's what we found out about. What were they doing that we didn't find out about? And is that industry standard? Does that happen more than we know? And they just got caught.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, I don't know. I just never had a good feeling about them. Just, I don't know. Dealing with them on the wholesale side back in the day, just not a fan.
Hey, there's one more thing here. We got about 4 minutes? We got 2 minutes before we have to start doing shout outs and all that stuff. We'll stretch it a little bit here. But there was a thing that came out today. This is America's favorite fast food restaurant for the 7th year in a row. I guess they do these, I don't know if it's a survey or what, but they've given the top 10 fast food restaurants in order. How many can you name in order?
I have to name them in order?
Well, just give me some restaurants, some fast food, and I'll tell you where they ranked. But try to get to number one.
Here's one that I haven't eaten at since their spokesmodel became a pedophile. So Subway.
Subway. I don't see Subway in the top 10, and isn't that something? They have many of those stores around, so no, Subway is not in the top 10. Subway, they've gone down 5% in the past year in their ratings alone. They didn't even make the top 10.
Good. Wendy's.
No, Wendy's failed to make the top 10 as well. Are these places these are places you're telling me you don't eat at?
Well, when I actually started eating at Wendy's again. Long story, yeah. But no, I no longer eat at Subway.
Come on, who's number one?
Who's number one? God. And these are nationwide chains or these are regional chains? Nationwide chains. Number one nationwide chain, fast food restaurant. McDonald's.
No, McDonald's didn't make the top 10 either. I'm going to give them to you from 10 down to 1 here. Dunkin' Donuts, 10.
Well, okay, not a fast food restaurant.
Okay.
But yeah.
Chipotle Mexican Grill, number 9.
Not fast food.
Number 8, Arby's.
Okay.
Our friend John Morgan's favorite place.
John
the meat
Morgan.
sweats. Number 7, Pizza Hut.
Really? Not fast food?
Number 6, Panera Bread.
Not fast food.
I agree. Number 5.
Pretentious Karen food.
Number 5 is Five Guys.
Okay, I was actually going to say Five Guys. But
Starbucks is number 4. Starbucks. I didn't know they were fast food.
Not fast food.
Number 3. I should have a drum roll with this. Number 3, KFC.
Really? Okay.
KFC.
Who's taking this survey?
Obviously, in the very urban areas, I guess. I don't know.
Atlanta.
Yes. It was all in Fulton County. Yes. Now, who's the top 2 here? I haven't named them yet. Come on, give me the top 2.
The top 2. Let me run through the Rolodex. Let's see. Well, since KFC is number 3, is Bojangles number 2?
No, Bojangles is not number 2.
No.
Domino's. Domino's Pizza's number 2.
Right. I know. Okay, and so number 1 is going to be Papa John's or freaking Little Caesars?
Nope. I can't believe you're missing this one.
It's probably so obvious. I'm like driving down the street. Oh, it's Chick-fil-A.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Chick-fil-A number 1.
I'm actually driving down US 1 in my head.
7 years in a row. That's pretty strong.
Yeah. Well.
What do you get at Chick-fil-A? You get those little nuggets or you get a sandwich?
Number 1, no pickle.
No pickle, yes.
Large size, Diet Coke, no ice.
All right.
Yeah. And I've never gotten something besides that.
They always say, they don't say no worry or no problem, because those are 2 negative things. You shouldn't be saying those things. They say they do at Publix. It's my pleasure. You know,
yes.
And maybe that's a Southern hospitality thing, and maybe that's just, but that's probably everything right there.
Yeah, no, they have it down pat. When with the pandemic that was going on and everybody was doing drive-through, unbelievable. They would have like they would close the dining room and they would configure their parking lot to accommodate just a drive-through, and they would have a team outside, a team inside, and they're people outside at the window handing the food to you. They had it down pat. Yeah, they know what they're doing. It's a shame they're against the gays, but so be it. They got good food.
They're not open on Sundays either.
No, which is strange. The first Chick-fil-A I ever saw was in Paramus Park Mall in Paramus, New Jersey.
Yeah.
I never knew that they were not open on Sunday because the only Chick-fil-A I knew was in the mall.
So you went there in the food court.
And the malls in Bergen County, New Jersey are closed on Sunday because of the malls.
Wow. Well, we're at that time here. We got 2 minutes. We got just 2 minutes. I do want to give a couple quick shout-outs to my man Gino Losi. If you want to go fishing, you're in Florida, check out Gino Losi at ginolosi.com. Shout-out to people who are subscribing and following. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe. And shout-out again to Dustin Levine, my friend at the Melon Patch Theater, the director there. Hey, you can just write a check or just go see some local community theater. It's a fun night out. You can't be disappointed at the Melon Patch Theater in Leesburg. So go check those guys out. Mike, you got anybody to say hi to?
Hi, Mom.
Perfect.
No.
Perfect. Hey, we're going to come back with another show here shortly if you're on Twitch. Stick with us. We're going to break here for a minute, but then we're going to come right back with another full show here on Twitch Live. So again, we use live without a net, so if I fall out of my chair, I'm going to hurt myself.
Of course.
All right. We'll talk to you in the next episode. Episode 37's coming up next, right?
Yes.
All right.
Perfect.
Good night.
Take care, folks.